ベンテーガもリアがかっこよけりゃな。あの人いないかな。なんだっけ。なんだっけ。違う。これだ。最近なんかないのかな。お。
What will win in a drag race between a BMW M4 CSL tuned by Manhart or a BMW XM label red M4 CSL tuned by Manhart or a BMW XM label red tuned by Manhart? Well, we're going to find out because I'm going to race them over the standing tomorrow. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow.
でも2シーターか。
This BMW
XM シーターもアンチなんだよな、俺。
Twin turbo V8 that's mated to an electric motor. Now this car normally produces 748 horsepower and 1000 newton meters of torque. But Manhart has fitted the car with a piggyback ECU, and this has increased the power and torque to 800
シーターの方がアンチだな。SUV より俺。
Power is sent to all four wheels via an 8-speed torque converter automatic gearbox, and the car weighs a colossal 2.7 tons and costs from around £210,000. This BMW M4 CSL has also been tuned by Manhart. It's powered by a 3-litre twin-turbo inline 6-cylinder petrol engine, and it normally makes 550 horsepower and 650 newton-meters of torque. However, Manhart has done an ECU remap, fitted a carbon intake, a new downpipe, and catalytic converter. And so now, this car produces 702 horsepower and 880 newton-meters of torque. It sends power to the rear wheels only via an 8-speed torque converter automatic gearbox. The car weighs in at around 1,600 kilos and costs from around £227,000. So Sam, these cars couldn't seem any different apart from the fact that they're BMWs and they're both tuned by Manhart. I've got luxury, I've got comfort, I've got seating for 5 people, I've got hybrids, so tax brakes, I can run on electric power. I'm also very heavy. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, this is rear-wheel drive, that's four-wheel drive. So off the line, that's going to be better, I would imagine. This has got 702 horsepower, so a lot. 880 newton meters of torque, and this is the CSL base, so it's lighter, so it's not going to be sitting down on its power, so who knows. And in terms of comfort, no, I am not comfortable. I've got my testicle shelf, which I don't see the point to. I've got scaffolding, utterly pointless. I've got a helmet net, so to speak, utterly pointless. So yeah, I'd rather be you.
No one's ever said they'd rather be me in my life, so thanks for that. You've made me feel a little bit better about myself. Should we drag race and see what actually happens? Oh, first. Sound check.
いい音。
V8ness with some sound augmentation in the cabin and a horrendous soft limiter.
V8 やっぱ音かっこいいな。
I think you're going to absolutely destroy me because this does have a tuned exhaust, but so does yours.
You are screwed, my friend.
はい、すいませんでした。
No matter how old I get, that never becomes childish. It doesn't. I don't care what anyone says. It's so enjoyable. Anyway, let's race. See if this race is going to be enjoyable. Oh, we had me off the line then. And then he like curtailed its power.
Come on now.
Oh.
I thought it'd be coming back at me now. But it's not. Oh, mate, that was pretty close, that was. So you actually got a better launch and then it's like it cut your power, and mine just obviously, because I'd four-wheel drive traction, kept on going. I got ahead of you and I thought I was going to come back at me, but you didn't.
I don't think it's the power, I think it's the torque of this, and the traction control is, or the launch control is really just trying to manage it. It kind of went into a kind of a plateau in fourth gear there as well. I thought I was going to really win and it just held station. I think it's spinning its wheels the whole time.
Best 2 out of 3, right? That's 1-0 to me. Let's have another go. Oh, hello.
Better. Come on now. Oh, no. Come on.
楽しそう。お。
No. Come on.
負けてるな。あ、いや、どうだ。あ、ノー。
What happened there? What happened? What? You were coming back. You were definitely going to win. Then you like drop back. Did you fluff a gear check? You don't even have to change gears, mate. It'll do it automatically. Yeah, it's coming off boost in fifth. It's like it's riding a wave of boost, and then in fifth it just plateaus and it just holds, and then it picks up boost again. It's like, I don't know, is there a wastegate thing? I don't know. It's mechanical stuff, but yeah, it's losing boost in fifth.
You were winning that, weren't you? So no matter what you do, it's not going to get better than that.
No, that run was better because of the tyres, and that's it.
And then it did the same thing again?
Yeah, it did the same boost plateau bit there again, but that was far more visible because I was next to you, so we had something to scale it to.
Well, there we go. It's close though. So then what exactly happened? Well, the XM won. It completed the standing quarter mile in 11.5 seconds. The M4 took 11.6 seconds. Now we can have a rolling race, and we're going to set the cars in their comfort setting for like the engine and stuff, automatic mode for the gearbox, and their least aggressive setting, just like their chill mode, like you're just driving around cruising on the motorway, to see what their pickup is like and their performance when you suddenly floor the accelerator, say if you need to suddenly overtake. So let's find this out, and we're going to race over the half mile. Here we go, just cruising along, and count it in 3, 2, 1, go. Considering this is a hybrid and it's supposed to have like torque fill. That kickdown took forever. Bye, Matt. And there's a half mile. Been absolutely done. Okay, so I thought with my hybrid system I'd just be able to just surge ahead of you, but it wasn't like that.
結構いいなぁ。結構かっこいい。
I'm going to show you something really cool about the updated Toyota Yaris Cross. So if I go into the boot, look at this. Underneath here, I have stashed this thing. What is it? Watch this. This is good. It is the load cover. So I can now attach it on there and on there, then these bits go up there, and then the other one up there.
日本の大衆車が海外のレビューでどうなのか。
As standard, and I can press this button here to increase the distance to the car in front. Look, there we go. And I can press that button there to turn on lane keeping assist. So the car will basically keep you that distance that you set from the car in front using its radar technology, and it'll auto steer to keep you in lane to make your life just much easier when you're commuting. You can get the Yaris Cross with an extra electric motor on the rear axle, so you get four-wheel drive, and none of its competitors offer that. The front seats have a quick recline lever, so you just pull up on that and watch. Whoop. Or you can use it to set your perfect position like this. Look, pull it up. There we go. It's exactly how I want it. Toyota has fitted this latest version of the Yaris Cross with a new thicker windscreen, thicker side glass, extra insulation in the dash, and a new engine mount which reduces vibrations. All this is designed to make the car quieter than it was before. However, it's not all good. I'm going to tell you about 5 annoying things about the new Toyota Yaris Cross a little later in this video. Toyota has made no changes whatsoever to the exterior design of the Yaris Cross as part of this midlife update. I'm not too bothered because I actually quite like the way it looks. So depending on which version you go for, you have a slightly different treatment. GR versions have like a sporty look to them, slightly sportier grille. Premier versions have some chrome on them. This is the one up from the entry-level model, and considering that's the point that it's at, it actually looks pretty good. I don't think it's wanting for any kind of extra bits. So alloy wheels start at 16 and they rise to 18. These are 17s and they come as standard on this car, and they're all you need. You also get stuff like black roof bars, which you don't have on the entry level. They're not black in colour, they're just not there. You don't get roof bars. You can get like two-tone body paint in like higher spec cars, but I don't think it really needs it. Round the back, it's all quite cool looking. I really like Toyota's designs lately. It's a good looking car, this. Now, prices. The Yaris Cross starts from £25,500, rising up to £35,000. This one here is just over
大衆車って言ってたけどさ、高くね？大衆車の割に。
£7,000. Good thing is you can save an average of about £2,500 off a Yaris Cross through CarWow. Toyota has made a few changes to the interior of the Yaris Cross. The most noticeable change is this. All but the entry-level car gets a new updated infotainment screen, which is much better than before. Look, it's faster to respond, it's got nicer graphics, it's bigger, obviously it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also have a slightly new dial section here. All but the entry-level car and this level car have a full digital driver's display. This one has a digital driver's display here in the middle and then just lights for your fuel gauge at the side, but it is slightly different than it was before.
って感じか。わかんねえ。一般的に300万の車って安いの？高くねえか？まあでも今計200万するからな。そう考えると安いか。
This is quite thin and unyielding. So look at the center console. Oh, it moves about quite a bit. Yeah, it feels a bit flimsy.
K の新車が200万超えるもんな。
Tends to be in Toyotas actually. They always get it spot on.
そう考えたらこのサイズというか車で300万は250から300買えるんだったら確かに安いかも。K と比較したら。
You might have a jumper behind you or something like that. It feels like there's something, or your belt's not right. And whenever I'm driving along, that's just digging into like this part of my bottom, and I find that really, really annoying. Now, the top 3 spec cars actually have sport seats, and they may not have that issue. I don't think they do actually. Another issue I found is with the storage. Look at this. Watch. I want to open it really quickly. What's that all about? Look, come on. It just shuts. Look. Oh, other than that, I mean, is the glove box big enough to fit a big bottle in? Oh, yes.
Oh, すげえでかっ。
Oh, so too are the door bins, look. And they're quite big. One thing I'm very thankful of as well is this, look. Actual physical buttons for the climate control, not hidden in some menu somewhere. That is really good. Thanks for maintaining that. And an air of normality. Is it normal? It's not normal anymore, actually. An air of sensibility in your car, Toyota. What else do you need to know? Oh yeah, look, 2 USB-Cs down here. Do we have a 12-volter? Do we? Anywhere? Anyone? You've got, look, armrest. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. I knew it was in there somewhere. 12-volt socket as well. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the interior space here in the front. Oh, there is one thing. Well, I do quite like the interior of this. I do find that the interior of a Peugeot 2008 is way cooler. Here in the back seats, headroom is pretty good. People over 6 foot will be fine. Where they may struggle is with knee room. I'm okay, but I've got short legs. If you've got long legs, you're going to find your knees touching the front seat back. But look, because the front seats are raised up, you can at least put your feet underneath them, so there's a decent amount of foot space. And this seat base is quite deep and it's raised quite a bit from the floor. So you do have lots of under-thigh support. So it's reasonably comfy, actually, here in the back. Now, if you come to carrying 3 people at once, this middle seat isn't the comfiest because it's a little bit raised. But the main issue is the fact the body's quite narrow, so it's going to be a squeeze with 3 adults in the back. But it is doable for short journeys. If you want to carry a child seat in the back, well, the ISOFIX anchor points are easiest to get to. The issue is that the rear doors don't open all that wide. Also, you're going to have to push the front seat forward slightly if you want to fit one of those bulky rear-facing seats. So it's not brilliant, but once again, you can live with it. What is good is this, look, you have some through loading and you have the cup holders there if you want to do it like that. You don't have an armrest, but this is actually quite good on a car in this category to have that through loading feature. Other features you got here, so where are the pockets on the seat backs? Have they forgotten to fit them? Anyway, you do have some reasonable sized door bins which will carry a bottle of that size. And I like this, because it doesn't happen that often anymore. Rear windows that go all the way down. However, I think in terms of back seat space, a Renault Captur is more roomy. The big capacity of the Yaris Cross is 350 litres, which is one of the smallest in this category. Now, I've already shown you these dividers, so look, that 350 litres is when you're using up all of this space, but I want to keep these in place right now to just illustrate this. When you fold down the rear seats, your seat belts don't snag, and as long as your front passenger seat is a bit more forward than that, the seats will fold down easily. And then you have a continuous floor to slide things towards the front if you want to. Makes loading easy. Also, some features in here. Just some hooks to tie things down. There. There's a couple more here. And it looks like there's a blank switch there. What is that blank switch for? Actually, do you know what? That brings me on to 5 annoying things about the Toyota Yaris Cross. This design trim version of the Yaris Cross, which is one up from base, has a lot of blanked out switches. Look, blanked, and let's look over here. Blankety, 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 blank. Actually, that takes me back to the 1980s. That's what cars used to have a lot of in the 1980s. Also, look at this. Here's another thing that feels cheap. Where's the light? Where's the light for the vanity mirror? Speaking of feeling cheap, have a listen to this.
あ、音ね。
Sounds like the car is made out of the thinnest, cheapest metal known to man. That's the thing about Toyotas. They do feel cheap in places, but you do get a 10-year warranty. So maybe no need to worry. There are no USB charging ports in the back of the car at all. How are the children supposed to charge their devices? That means they're going to try and interact with their parents on a journey, which, I mean, who wants that? I hate the way you can't just open the fuel filler cap when the car is unlocked.
昔の車方式だ。
Toyotas and Japanese cars that I've owned. You have to go and do it manually like this and then go back.
そうなんよな。
Now you might be thinking, well, you know, if you own the car, you're going to know to do that every time. Believe me, if you've got multiple cars, if it's like your second car or something like that, you will forget because.
俺も車買った時、給油口を開けるボタンめっちゃ探したわ。
The fuel filler cap if the car's unlocked. I always had that problem with my GR Yaris. Always forget, get out, go to fill up, and have to go back in again. Can you spot a problem with the location of these cup holders? This one in particular. Ready? Ready? All right, watch. It's this. That's, yeah, it's not great. The rear view mirror is located quite low down, and you end up getting this reduced visibility through the centre of the windscreen. Look at it compared to this part here. And then this part. Now it's pretty bad, but it's nowhere near as bad as on my GR Yaris, but still many of the cars don't have such an issue as that. The Yaris Cross's engine range has actually doubled in size because now instead of one option there is two. Now they both have a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine mated to electric motor. Now this particular car, as before, has 116 horsepower, but now you can get a version with a more powerful electric motor which takes a total to 130 horsepower. That's the new thing. Whichever version you go for, they're front wheel drive, unless of course you spec the extra motor on the rear axle, though that doesn't give you any more power, it just gives you more drive, so it gives you 4-wheel drive. And regardless of which one you go for, you get a CVT automatic gearbox as standard. There are a couple of advantages of the Yaris Cross being a hybrid. So the first is that when you're just cruising around town, sounds dodgy that, doesn't it? You can put it into EV mode. Oh, I haven't got enough charge in the battery for it to do that, but it's still doing what I want it to do, which is run in electricity mode only, so it's silent, apart from the sound that you get from all hybrids or electric cars when you're driving at low speeds to warn pedestrians. But it does mean that it's silent. There's no engine thrumming away, so it's all nice and quiet and relaxed.
つがイギリス車多いな。
Internal combustion engines, but no hybrid system, and this is especially with those with an automatic gearbox because you've got the assistance of the electric motor. When you
なんか東京と同じぐらい運転しづらそう。
From that electric motor, with cars that just have turbocharged engines mated to an automatic gearbox, you often get a terrible delay while the gearbox and the engine work together, and you have to wait for the turbo to boost up. So this is really good for
この車の止まり方やばい。どこに止めてんだよマジで。
compared to some of its key competitors. Still relatively tight at 11.2 meters, but Skoda Kamiq is better. It's like 10.1 meters. I can just about make this round because I've got good visibility. I can tell how close I am.
車の止まり、おおかっけえあの車。
Visibility, I can tell how close I'm to.
いい車走ってますやん。
Just trying to brush past, so I shouldn't hit them. Even though I have no front parking sensors nor any surround view cameras because of the spec of this car is quite like low to middling. But that was actually really easy to do, and also the view out the side mirrors is good, and the view out the back window is good. You do have
でも後ろ見やすいな。でかい窓。
Bit of a blind spot there, but overall pretty good. Tell you what also is pretty good, the suspension around town. It deals with bumps quite well, but as you go faster and you drive over uneven surfaces, it does get a bit fidgety, so it's not the most settled. In terms of the brakes, so hybrids can sometimes have grabby brakes because what's happening is when you're braking, the first part you're braking is actual regen braking, so you're using the motor in reverse like the generator.
逆回転なんだ。
I don't know, anyway, it's using the electric motor to slow you down, and it's basically putting energy back into the battery, and that can make the brakes feel a bit unnatural. bit grabby, but these are smooth. You see, Toyota has had years and years and years and years of experience of building hybrids, and they've got it down to a fine art now. Now you can put the car into a B mode, which is what I've got it in, so you have a bit more regen braking when you lift off the accelerator without touching the brake, but you don't have full one pedal driving. So
もう自分の車結構ブレーキかなり気に入ってんだよな。なんかあんまり言葉にしづらいけど、ブレーキの感じがマジめっちゃいい。めっちゃいいとしか言えん。でもめっちゃいい。
And that transition there when the engine kicked in, it's really smooth. You do notice it though because it's a 3-cylinder and they're a little bit thrummy, but a lot of cars in this category have 3-cylinder engines. All in all, round town, this is very, 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 very good. Look, I'm in EV mode now. This is the reason why you get such good economy out of these hybrids. The ability to do this. You are using all that energy you've recouped through braking and slowing down and using it to drive you at lower speeds. I'm going to come out of B mode, go to D. Yeah, now it really just rolls in B mode. Actually, the slowing in B mode is more like just normal engine braking. D.
エンジンブレーキの感じマジ不快じゃない？
Rolling, 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 rolling. Basically done this whole town section using the electric motor only, and with speed limits in villages and towns just like 20 miles an hour everywhere now, hybrids are making more and more sense. Oh, look how fast can I go?
エンブレめっちゃ嫌い俺。
35, 36. I'm going to build it up slowly. We are going downhill, which is helping. As soon as there's an incline, it's going to bring in that petrol engine. But come on, come on. Oh no, look, the engine just kicked in, and I didn't notice it at all. Now I'm going quicker. Can't get my elbows comfy. Every thing you touch is pretty hard. The armrest has a bit of padding on it, but it's still very hard. So Toyota. Hard trim and tinny thin metal, but usually rock solid reliability. Right, we're coming up to a faster bit of road, a 70 mile an hour limit, so I'm going to slow down to 40, throw the throttle and see what the pickup is like. You know, like say if you're trying to filter and join a motorway. So we'll see if this car has enough oomph. So here we go, I'm around 40. I'm in normal mode. Go.
Ooh.
It was hard to distinguish when the actual pickup was. It just slowly accrued speed. It wasn't like, oh, right, we're going now. No noticeable delay, but no noticeable hardcore pickup either. I guess that's just the nature of the power output of this engine. But it got up to speed quick enough. I wonder if it's better if I put it into power mode. No, these speeds, it just feels the blooming same. Now, when you are driving at higher speeds, in terms of the noise insulation, maybe a bit quieter.
車近くね。
The road noise quite as much as I did in the pre-facelift car. There is still a bit of wind noise around there, but it's not terrible. Quite happily do a long journey in this, and I'm not really having to raise my voice to talk to you either.
前の車ね、近くて怖いんだけど。
The economy. So this car's supposed to do around 63 miles to the gallon. This one has averaged almost 57 mpg. I'll take that. Okay, I am starting to notice a bit of wind flutter around here, and I
撮影者とか関係あんの？
But I think it's about average.
スピードが出てて車が近いっていうのが怖いって話なんだけど。
Has helped slightly. What I'm going to do now is go into power mode. No, not EV. Oh, I can have EV now. Look, EV mode. I don't know why it has EV mode. It still brings in the engine, the slightest touch of the throttle. Why even bother? Right, I'm going to go into power mode anyway. See what this car handles like. Now, when you thrash it, you can hear that CVT gearbox causing the engine to like hold its revs and go, ah! And being a 3-cylinder, it's quite thrummy, but it's not too bad. Oh, that went round there really well actually for a relatively high riding car. Say relatively, you know, it's not massive. It's not a G-Wagon. It's definitely taller than a normal Yaris. The steering's actually reasonably responsive and precise, and it grips well. I mean,
ステアリングの感じ大事よな。
It can easily keep up with other traffic. Corners really well. I'm actually surprised. I like this car, you know. It's remarkable how light it feels in terms of the handling compared to all like the electric cars I've driven recently. They're just too heavy. I mean, this is a hybrid, so it does have some extra weight on board, but it still feels light and agile. This version of the Toyota Yaris Cross should do 0 to 16 in 11.2 seconds. I'm going to find out for myself. In specialist timing gear, in power mode, brake boost it. Doesn't like that.
すげえ音。
Smooth.
うん。
9.59, 9.6. I think they underestimated it. Okay, I'm just going to run the other way to get an average. Brake boost. Really puts its power down well. Well, what power it does have. Okay, 9.29.
結構ブレあるんだな。
あ、道
違えんだ。
On the screen now. Couldn't do the maths in my tiny little brain. Couldn't. Still good though, right? So then, what's my final verdict on the Toyota Yaris Cross? Should you avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist it. It's a good, all-round, economical, small family SUV. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of my verdict in the comments below.
評価高い。あ、
Come and have a look at this.
これちょっと気になる。
The Ferrari Sangue has one of the best launch control sequences. I press upon that, it goes into launch. Right, and the car drops down on its suspension, ready for action. I floor the throttle, gives me the revs, but I'm actually not going to launch it right now. I'll do that later in the video to find out how fast it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Before then, I'm going to talk you through this car. So the exterior, the interior, how practical it is. I can barely feel anything. Talk you through this car. So the exterior, the interior,
車パッと見た時の、どうしようかなの8番目ぐらいに入ってた。
And of course, I'm going to take you through good about it, what's not so good about it, and of course, I'm going to take you for a drive. Dog liked it. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Car Wow. Let's start off this video by talking about the design of the Pura Sangue. Now, Ferrari says it's not an SUV. I shouldn't call it an SUV, even though it is definitely an SUV. Do you agree with me that it's an SUV? Well, I'll put a comment, it's pinned. Vote. Is it an SUV or not an SUV? It's an SUV. I think it's an SUV. Anyway, let's move on. I like the light design here, this cool light design with the main kind of light is down here and the daytime running lights up here. A trend first started on a Citroen, so Ferrari is copying Citroen with its light design now. Also, everything that looks like a vent is indeed a vent. It's all vintage, it's all real, there's no fakery. Got two Ferrari badges here, you got the main one there like on the sports cars, and then you get an extra one down here as well. Moving down the side, there's more vintage going on here. Look at this, these got air curtains here that help smooth the airflow down the side of the car. Vents in here, and I like the way they've done this cutaway with the wheel arches. It's just interesting. It makes it look mean. Speaking of which, this car's like fully blacked out really, and these aren't the actual original wheels, these are Novitec wheels. The sizes are the same though, 22s here at the front and 23s at the back. That's what you get as standard. The owner of this car, who's lent it me, Steve Kira, thank you Kira from Kira Solutions, he didn't like the standard wheels, so he upgraded to these. So this car has the crests on the side, and as we go down, look, it's kind of like a big sporty hatchback, isn't it? So maybe it's not an SUV, it's just a big fat sporty hatchback. Don't think Ferrari would want me to call it that. Anyway, who cares? So moving down to the rear, really like the shape of the tail end of this car. Once again, intricate designs here, rear vents, no messing about. Is it the coolest looking SUV? Is it better looking than an Aston Martin DBX? I actually think it's very expensive though. So the starting price, £330,000. So this one though, with all the options, £430,000. And a lot of that added cost is carbon fibre. So I'll just talk you through the carbon fibre on the outside of this car and the price of it. Carbon wheel arches, carbon rear diffuser, carbon under door cover, which I think is Ferrari speak for side skirts, carbon mirrors, carbon splitter, and the total for the exterior is, yeah, there's more optional carbon inside. Carbon sill cover, carbon instrument cover, carbon here and carbon there. And finally the carbon steering wheel pack. That brings the total spent on extra carbon to this. Here on the inside, I do like the design, the way you have like the main dash.
カーボンだけで高級車買える。
have like a separate one for the passenger, and this is standard. The only thing is from where I'm sat, right, give me this camera, I cannot see what's on it because it's designed not to distract the driver. So I can't see that, but when we move that back round, you can sort of see. So Adam, can you operate it to show the kind of things that it displays on there?
Yeah, you can see all the car dials, instruments, you got the radio, the climate control, you got the seats.
ちょっと待って、これ運転手が操作できないのこれ。
Yeah.
Not to distract the driver. So I can't, give me this camera. I cannot see what's on it because it's designed not to distract the driver. So I can't see that, but when we move that back round, you can sort of see. So Adam, can you operate it to show the kind of things that it... Let's move on to my display, all right? Still in the limelight. So here we go, fully digital display. Big digital rev counter, nice and clean. I like how it operates. Do you know what? People have been complaining about Porsche going to a digital rev counter, and Ferrari's been doing it for quite a while now. And no one complained about that. What I will complain about though is this. The actual, yeah, the infotainment system is an absolute mess. So I have to control it using these touch sensitive buttons on the steering wheel, which aren't nice to operate. and then it cycles through.
あー、フェラーリな。ハンドルでウィンカー上げるんだよな。
Oh, come on, is that working? Work, I don't know. Work, come on, you're supposed to go into, look, is that the way to press it? Not ideal. You have Apple CarPlay.
上についてる右と左の矢印が確かウィンカーだったはず。
Android Auto as well. There is a problem though, so I've got this one on Apple CarPlay. Look, can you spot the problem? I'm going to engage Apple CarPlay.
この間知り合いのフェラーリがそうだった。
It has gone. Oh, I have to lose Apple CarPlay if I want to see it. Let's go back to main view. They haven't really thought that through, have they? Speaking of which, I don't like all the controls being on the steering wheel and no stalk, such as your indicators up there, your other buttons here, your windscreen wipers and lights all here. Start, stop button here, and not actually being a physical button, it's just like touch sensitive, so yeah. I do like this though, the drive select mode. Look, it goes to the different options there. Won't moan about that. Another thing I won't moan about is this. Look, I just engaged the surround view camera is really handy on this car. Come on, there we go. Surround view with bird's eye. Nice. In terms of the interior quality, well, yeah, all the leather feels nice. It's generally got a very expensive luxury vibe to it. Though, there are a few bits where the stitching is a bit
stitchyって何?
Down here, see that it's not great, and then looks like someone missed
the
place for that stitch to go. Same up here, look, it's all wobbly, wibbly, wobbly. It's like they got Lotus to do it. A Lotus from years ago. But, you know, you got a vanity mirror with a little bit of nice kind of blue lighting. And there's some decent practicality in here. So underneath here, we have some cup holders lined with the felt. Plenty of space there. No, that's okay, although bigger bottles might top a bit when you accelerate. Reasonable sized door bins, which you can fit big bottles in. And then underneath here, we have some more storage, and we've got USBs, and there's your old-fashioned 12-volt socket. The glove box is a reasonable size for this kind of vehicle, and once again lined in felt, and it feels expensive. And overall, I like the design of the controls. It's kind of minimalist, yet not overly so. What I'm not so keen on though is this. I don't like having the window switches there. I'd rather they were on the door. Also, this is in some ways good. These are the drive select modes, like with automatic and manual, reverse, launch control. But you expect them to slide forwards and backwards. They don't. You just pull them like that. Can you see? You just press them and it... So I'm not so keen on the operation of that. What I do like is what they've done with the climate controls. They're not buried in the screen. They're just all up on here, so you can quickly access stuff, and then you press... 慣れると使いやすいんだろうけどな。So on and so forth. I do like that. It's a nice feature, that is. Now, these are called the new, what are they, new age or new form or new something? See, what is it? What are they? It's a weird name for always giving them, but they are really nice. They're quite firm, but at the same time, very, very comfortable. I love Ferrari seats, to tell you the truth.
New style seats.
They're called new style seats, apparently. One thing I don't like much is this, the way they've put the button to open the door there. The handle's there, so you want to be able to touch it, but it's a stretch line. The largest ones. Minor complaints. In terms of getting an ideal driving position, obviously these new style seats are fully electric, and you can jack the seat up quite high if you want more of an SUV kind of vibe going on, or you could go more sports car by having them almost slammed right in the body of the car. And of course you've got an electrically operated steering wheel like that, with quite a decent range of adjustment. And I think that is all you need to know about the interior of this car. Here in the back, you get the same seat design as in the front. Though here, for some reason, they don't feel quite as comfy, and I just don't know why. I'm not sure if it's the fact the base isn't quite so deep. You also seem to sit higher up. These ones, they're electrically operated. Looks like I move them forwards and backwards, and I can make them more upright or have them reclined, though that's as far as they will recline. Knee room, that's all right. Foot space, that's all right.
ちょっとパッと見たらあった。
They don't tear of this. It's comfy, and I just don't know why. I'm not sure if it's the fact the base isn't quite so deep. You also seem to sit higher up. These ones, they're electrically operated. Looks like I move them forwards and backwards, and I can make them more upright.
後ろのシート動くのいいね。
Reclined, though that's as far
ああ、
as
少しか。
Knee room, that's all right. Foot space, that's all right. Headroom, that's not all right. Look, my head's touching that. People over 6 foot will find it a bit of a struggle in the rear of this car. If you need to carry rear occupants in more comfort, you're probably better off with an Aston Martin DBX. And to see my video review of that car, follow the QR code appearing on the screen right now. Alternatively, if you're watching on mobile phone, just click on the pop-out banner. In terms of other things in the back here, look, we got wireless charging, USB-C.
無線充電ついてんだ、後ろも。
Operation once again for the windows here on the center console bit. But I do like this. The windows go all the way down. You have a similar climate control thing going on here. This car's the upgraded heated rear seats, and ventilated. So that's good. Oh, I've just turned them on, they're going to make a noise. Just turn them on. Right, let's go away. Go away. Right, here you have some cup holders. Boink. They are in there. There are some door bins. They will fit bottles. But at the moment I'm just fitting my arm in them. You have some little folders on the seat backs as well. And there's your air vents, which seem like they're in an ideal place to blow air up your skirt if you're wearing a skirt. Because it's an SUV, even though Ferrari won't admit it, this is the most practical Ferrari to date. So the luggage capacity is 470 litres. It's good, but not that good for an SUV. Lamborghini Urus's boot is 620 litres, and if you want to watch my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the QR code appearing on the screen now. But let me just show you how practical it is. There is enough room for a full-size man.
意外と乗りづらそうだな。
Can you get into the car and we'll just check that you can fit in the boot without too much trouble. I am going to shut it.
人の車でやりたい放題すぎる。
I know you are in pain. Don't know why you'd be in pain. Shouldn't be. That's all fine. So there's plenty of room for a man. It's a new test, the Car Wow Man in a Boot test. Okay, man, please exit. Right, so if you need added practicality and more space, you can fold down the rear seats. So it's a bit unusual to do it. You remove this divider. You then give it to said man. Thank you. That's quite heavy, that is. And then I'm going to press these buttons here to fold the seats down. Fold. Fold, fold, fold. Do the other side as well, come on. Come on, there we go. Bear with me. That is the slowest thing I've ever seen on a Ferrari. Anyhow, then you can carry longer items. Though this armrest there sort of makes it a little less practical than it otherwise would be. It just gets in the way and trying to slide things to the front.
いやー、ちょっと微妙かな。
The windscreen wipers are so aggressive. If it's been raining and you stood next to the car and someone turns on the wipers, this happens. Brilliant. Well, you can fit this part, come on, of the load cover underneath the false floor. I wish that would just stay up. No, good. Like that, look.
ワイパー迫力満点受けるな。
Come on. There. That fits. You're not getting this dividery bit in there as well. Like, it just doesn't go. We tried it numerous angles and different ways, it just doesn't fit. So if you want to fold down the seats, you're going to have to carry this separately in the car. There is quite a lot of shiny black plastic trim which can easily scratch. So if you buy this car, you want to do exactly what Steve has done and have the interior PPF protected as well. This is a super expensive luxury car. Yet, after just 4,000 miles, we're getting this noise from the window. What's that all about? The claimed fuel consumption on this car is 16 miles to the gallon, but I can't verify that because I've looked into the trip computer and I can find no mention or reading for the average economy. It's like Ferrari doesn't actually want to talk about it. However, if we look down here at the fuel gauge, it says we've got about 55% of the tank capacity remaining. The tank capacity is 100 litres, so that 55% will give us 110 miles range. So the car's computer is sort of thinking that it's averaging 2 miles for every litre of fuel. And what's even more annoying is, considering you're going to be filling this car up quite a lot, it's a bit of a faff to shut the fuel filler cap. Look. What is going on here? Finally. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. The doors on this car are really cool. So the front ones are just normal. Don't get too excited by those. But the rears, look, I love the way you open them. You just flip this little handle there.
Oh, すごっ。 あ、てか観音開きかよ。これいいね。あ、へえ、すげえ便利。
This is the first Ferrari to get hill descent control. Ferrari tries to claim it's not an SUV, but hill descent control kind of undermines that, doesn't it? I think I've just undermined the fact that we're not on a hill at all. For £10,000 extra, you can get a panoramic glass roof, and it has a special shading effect on it. So this is it fully shaded, but if you press a button, you'll see that it goes more transparent. Hello. Also, it's got a special coating as well, a bit like, you know, the goggles that you wear when you're skiing, to reduce the amount of heat that comes in from the sun's rays into the cabin. There's electric and hydraulic actuators on each wheel, and they allow the car to control its wheel movements much quicker than in a standard car with adaptive suspension, and that improves the ride and the handling. It also means you can raise and lower the car's ride height quicker than in a car with air suspension, let's say. Going down. Let's make it go up. There we go. The Puro Sangue is the only Ferrari available with massage seats. Granted, it's a £3,000 option, but you can't get massage seats even as an option on any other Ferrari. Oh, let's just turn it up to max and have a feel. Are they any good? Yeah, you can sort of tell it's Ferrari's first go at this because I can barely feel anything. The Puro Sangue is only available with one engine, but it's an absolute belter. So is the way you actually access it. This front hinged, huge bonnet, front engine, but you can see the engine is so far back in the car, it's way behind the front axle. It's a 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 that puts out a whopping 725 horsepower, 716 newton meters of torque. Mainly drives the rear wheels via a prop shaft and an 8-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox, but it also has drive coming off the front with a 2-speed gearbox that can send power to the front axle as well. However, once you're beyond 5th gear, the car just reverts to fully rear-wheel drive. But anyway, let's have a little listen to it. Oh, lovely. Right, slow things down a bit now and go for a little drive in this car. I'm actually going to leave the engine program in sport, but I'm going to press the button for the suspension to make it soft. There we go. I could leave it in auto mode like it is now, and it does a good job. I'm going to go in manual because even when I'm going slow, I can then have some fun with the car, just flipping through the gears like that, because the feeling of the pedals is very, very nice. Just the tactility of them just adds an element of involvement to the proceedings. There's a little speed hump. The car feels firm, it feels kind of taut and ready to pounce, but with the suspension in the soft setting, it's not annoying, it's not jarring. Visibility wise, pretty good at the front, and I'm sitting in the lowest position. Big door mirrors, yeah, blind spot here. Issue is the back window. For an SUV, it's not that big, but for a Ferrari, you actually get a really good view out. So, you know, think of it what you will. In terms of the manoeuvrability, well, I'm going to try and do a U-turny thingy here. In fact, I'll do a 360, and we'll see what it's like. Ferrari doesn't quote the turning circle, so I don't know what it's like. We're just going to have to try it for ourselves. So this could cause chaos, but let's find out. Here we go. Can I make it round in this space? Fortunately, we've got low curbs, but so if there were curbs, I'll be scuppered. But will I make it round here? Sort of made it round, all right. Vibe was saved by the low curbs. We do have rear axle steering on this thing, but once again, I don't know the exact way it operates. I'd imagine lower speed, back wheels going.
俺自分の車小回りマジ効くの結構かなり気に入ってる実際。小回り効くのマジいいよな。
It's all very nice, this. Yeah, definitely preferring it in manual. Go auto just for the hell of it. What's the change down when you're coming to a standstill? Sometimes with dual clutch automatic gearboxes they can be jarring, but this one, yeah, I think Ferrari know what they're doing with dual clutch automatic gearboxes. Look at that. I mean, that just changed from second to third without me blooming knowing anything about it. But once again, let's go manual. When it did that thing where I can just pull in both pedals and it'll rev up. Yeah. Oh, look how quick it revs. Wow. And they are pulling both pedals and it'll rev up. Yeah. Oh, look how quick it revs. Wow.
やばすぎる。
Everyone's looking at me like
意味がわからん。
And they are completely correct. Do you know what? We've gone past quite a few people, apart from when I was revving the engine. Didn't really turn many heads. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? You know, in this black, it's quite stealthy. And while it is a pretty looking car, it's not in your face. I think it's a good thing. Anyway, let's head out of the town now, because this is the best place to enjoy this Ferrari, even though this is the most enjoyable Ferrari for driving in a location such as this. So it clearly is the most usable Ferrari. Let's just annoy these people with some revs. Dog liked it. His ears up. Even though he was a German dog, he likes the Italian car. Actually, that was very sexist of me. Oh, now there, that's interesting. When you hit bigger bumps, you do get quite a douche. And there, it can feel a bit lumpy. I do think that the air suspension that you get on something like a Bentley Bentayga Speed does just deal with bumps so much better. Okay, here we go then. Oh, what the Bentley doesn't have is that engine noise. Whoa. It's mad having this engine in an SUV. Sorry, it's not an SUV, but it is an SUV. Oh.
楽しそう。
And you know what? It feels quite manic. That's quite interesting about it, actually. So you don't have the wallop of torque that you get from like the turbocharged SUVs. Instead, you chase the revs. You actually find yourself going surprisingly quicker than you think, because you've gone through the rev range and you look down at the speedometer and you're like, oh my gosh, that is a lot of speed. Despite the speed though, you know, you go to a corner and it really does just stay completely flat. It's so responsive for an SUV. I think it is the most responsive of all the sporty SUVs I've driven. There's no getting away from the weight though, and the raised driving position and the raised centre of gravity. At some point, it's just going to start pushing wide in a corner. You know, Ferrari quote like just over 2 tons, but that's dry weight. So wet weight with fluids and stuff, you know, it's over 2.1 tons, which is heavy for a Ferrari. It just is. But all these SUVs, they're even heavier. It is the sportiest SUV to drive, I do think. Whoa, this thing pulls. And it's so much fun to rev out. There is one complaint, it's that I find the brakes a little bit grabby when you first touch them. But after that, the pedal feel is very, very consistent, and they're strong. I love the fact that you get carbon ceramics as standard on Ferraris. It's absolutely the way it should be. So if you're driving to the Alps and you're doing hairpin after hairpin, you're not going to get any fade and drop off the edge of a mountain. There is another thing about it. While it's the sportiest, unless the conditions are dry, then it can be one of the scariest. In fact, it does just feel like a Ferrari sports car when you are driving it slightly quickly in the wet. The setup of the four-wheel drive system means that most of the time it just drives like a rear-wheel drive car. And so if you put your foot down suddenly in the wet, it can step on you. I had that earlier, it just went sideways on me, even though I was in sports setting, not with the stability all the way off, and it was quite fine. I didn't manage to gather it back up again, so it was fine. But you do notice if the conditions aren't quite perfect and the road is a bit bumpy, it's sort of like tram lines quite a bit when you're accelerating. Now my viewpoint on that is a bit mixed, so it does have an edge to it. You do have to have your wits about you with it. That does mean that it's definitely engaging, and it does give it a feeling that it's more like a sports car than a sports utility vehicle. It really does. It's just got that really racy feel to it that you'd expect from a Ferrari. It is an experience driving this. It is an occasion, and yet it's something that you can experience every single day because it's just far more usable than any other Ferrari today.
なるほどね。結構フェラーリ乗りにはピンポイントで刺さる便利な車なんか。
One of the good things about Ferraris is that when you turn the stability control off really is off.
出たこれ。
So good. Nicely balanced as well.
俺も電子制御切るボタンあってマジ怖いんだよなこれ。
Really does like to play. According to Ferrari, the Pura Sangue will do 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. But let's find out for ourselves. I'm going to use my specialist timing gear, left foot on the brake, launch it. Oh, drops down on the suspension. Here we go. Oh, it doesn't like it. So starting to Ferrari, the Pura Sangue will do 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. But let's find out for ourselves. I'm going to use my specialist timing gear, left foot on the brake.
ヤリスの3分の1やん。
Oh, drops down on the suspension. Here we go. Oh, I didn't like it. Oh, skippity skip.
早っ。
4.3 seconds, not 3.3. Oh, let's just push on to the quarter mile. down to the surface being wet. I'm gonna give it one more go. Let's go the other direction. Maybe it's a bit dry this way. Oh no, it's not. Here we go again. It's not liking it. Oh, launch. There we go. Come on, hook. That's better. 4. It's getting better all the time. I'm gonna give it one more go. See if we can get in the 3s. Now, one of the clever things about this car is that the stability control learns the surface, so it should get better with this go. Learning every single launch. And go. Yeah, that's better. 4.02.
限界っぽいな。
12. Let's get it under 12 for the quarter. Come on.
ちょっと違うけど、俺もエアサスで段差があるところとか車高を上げるんだけど、それ記憶してるから次そこ行くとき行ったらあれになる。次同じ場所に行ったら勝手に車高上がるようになってる。
So, not quite what Ferrari said, but they obviously tested the car in the dry, and I have got quicker. If you want to see how much quicker I've actually got out of this car in terms of launching in the quarter mile, click on the pop-out banner up there, or follow the QR code appearing on the screen now to watch my drag race video with this very car.
すごいなこれ。いやすごいけどやっぱあれだな。ウルスといい、プロサングエといい、スーパーカー系譜のこの SUV っぽいやつってやっぱ乗りづらそうだな。その乗りやすさだけで言ったらやっぱちゃんと乗りづらそう。お、カローラかわいい。
This is the Toyota GR Corolla, and this is the special edition Morizo version, which is stripped out, high performance and just more focused, though very limited in numbers. In this video I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about these cars. Could work as a family car. The upgrades over a standard Corolla, 3 exhausts, and then the upgrade to this Morizo version over the normal GR Corolla makes all the difference. I'm going to drive them on Toyota's very own Nürburgring. Whoa! And we're also going to get a racing driver.
なんかこれ走る車なのこれ。カローラって。なんかカローラってなんかおばあちゃんとか乗ってるイメージだったんだけど、なんかすげえかっこよくない？何これ？
Oh bloody hell, man! What are you doing? I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Car Wow. The GR Corolla is powered by the same 1.6-litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine as the original GR Yaris. However, as part of its continuous development program, Toyota's engineers have broken the engine many times, and they learnt from that. And for the Corolla, they improved the engine, made it tougher, fitted new pistons, and gave it some more power. So here it has 304 horsepower and 370 newton meters of torque.
すげえ。
I'll now talk you through the visual upgrades on the GR Corolla. So, here in the bonnet you can see we've got some air vents there. Are they real though? I need to check them with a stick of truth. So, here we have Chief Engineer for the car, Sakamoto-san, who's actually giving me a stick of truth. The Toyota stick of truth. Let me just check. Yes, there we go. So these help cool the engine and release pressure from in there as well to help with downforce. Obviously, as you can see here, we've got a huge front bumper for better cooling for the radiators. Now moving.
いや、ってことはこれ褒めそうだな。全部なんかあんま悪いところ言わなそうやな。やめよう。ちょっと抑えめになりそう。ちゃんと車はいいところと悪いところどっちも知りたいもんな。お、これは
？This is the Lexus LM. It's a little bit like a private jet. In fact, Lexus's own PR material says to help define what the LM should offer, Lexus conducted research with private jet manufacturers and hyper-affluent customers. To find out if the LM fits the brief, I'm going to talk you around the exterior. It is huge. Show you the interior.
ちょっと待って、もうなんか結構これ。いけるな。意外とちっちゃい。長えけど。意外といけるな。
I'm just caressing this car in a very sinister way. Try out its technology. It's just freaking my brain out. Tell you what's good about it. Oh, so satisfying. What's not so good about it.
俺乗ってる車も5メートル超えてるから。幅ちっちゃい。横幅が狭い。俺の車より全然圧倒的に横幅が狭い。
going to talk you around the design of the Lexus LM. So it's a minivan that's actually based on the RX, but I mean, there's not much to say. It's got a band light back, but it looks kind of modern with this diffuse light bar, and you've got a spoiler up there as well, and some Lexus badging plus plenty of chrome. In fact, chrome is the order of the day. Look, we've got more down here, but Lexus manages to do chrome in quite
でも俺あんま見た目好きじゃねえな。
wheels. They're all 19 inches. Tons of colours. There's this black, there's a white, there's a dark red, and a sort of silvery gold. But really, this is the colour to go for, isn't it? The black. It does work really well with the chrome. There's enough flair and accents on this to make it not look too boring. Speaking of which, when you come to the front, you get Lexus's massive trademark grille. Look at that. It is huge. Lots of chrome yet again. Big chrome strip here, and we've got matrix LED lights as well. Standard on all models, and that brings me on to the price. So the LM starts from a mere £90,000.
1700万ってことは2000
It's £113,000.
最終面じゃあ最終的に2500万ぐらいなるのかな。いろいろつけてたら。わすげえ。
People carrier, and it feels very luxurious. The leather used throughout is lovely.
クソ乗りやすそう。
Especially on the steering wheel. Though I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't trim the center boss with leather. It's just plastic. Speaking of which, the only cheap bits of plastic I can find in here, right down there, which you might brush your hand against.
ああ、そこね。
Down here. I mean, it's
確かになんかこの辺プラスチックなのってちょっとなんか昭和感感じるような、別に今時の車でも全然あるけど、なんか妙になんかおじいちゃん、子供の頃に乗ったおじいちゃんの車を思い出す気持ちはちょっとわかるんだよな。
And everything that you touch just has a nice, solid and damped feeling to it, including the switches. I love it. I also love this. While you've got this big infotainment screen, and the climate is controlled through it using, you know, sliders such as that for the fan speed, the temperature is done very quickly just by swiveling that. And yet again, that just feels so good and expensive. And my finger brings you to this, the Mark Levinson stereo, which sounds absolutely amazing. As standard, it's got 21 speakers. This Takumi version actually has 23 speakers, regardless of which one you go for. Amazing sound quality. Like this wood panelling down here as well. Oh, I'm just caressing this car in a very sinister way, aren't I? And I'm going to continue doing it with this rather soft and lovely headliner and the biggest sunshades ever with just a modest vanity mirror. Speaking of mirrors, as standard you get this, so you got your normal rear view mirror, but if I do that, you get a camera feed out the back. Now the reason why it's got that will be apparent a little bit later on. Now let's check out the storage on this vehicle. Glove box, it's not the biggest, is it really? But oh, it's nicely damped, lined with felt. I like this though, you've got a big bin under the centre armrest. Is that hard for you to see? Don't worry.
でかっ。
You can open it this way as well.
おお、すごい。
Have a look in there, nice and deep.
でかっ。
HDMI input, more on that in a moment. And there's your USB-C plus old-fashioned 12 volts.
横向きに開くのいいな。俺の車縦だからさ、若干開きづらいんだよな、運転してるとき。
USB-C to plug your phone in for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's full screen for both of those apps, which is really good. Now, if you want to, you can use the standard fit sat nav, but it's just not as slick as Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. It's quite easy to jump through the different menus though, using these side buttons here. But I'm definitely more of a fan of using either Apple or Android. You've got a digital driver's display here. It has enough information on it and you can scroll through different screens and it will change colour and the design of the dials depending on what driving mode you're in. Okay, that's enough of those. Ah, forgot to show you this, door bins. They are large enough to fit average size bottles, though the whole length of the door bin is actually quite thin. There is something that I do find a little bit confusing about this. It's the way you have buttons in multiple places that do the same thing. Look, so up here you have buttons to control the left and right doors in the rear, but you also have the same buttons here, just there. Speaking of the doors, here in the front you open them electrically, so you just press the button there and it opens, and you have soft close, so just shut that like that. There is an emergency release here if you have a flat battery. which could be very, very important on this car. Very. And last thing to show you, there's the cup holders. They'll fit the big bottles as well. And I like the way they're just surrounded in this satin metallic effecty trim. Just kind of sends off the rest of the cabin. Look at it with the goldy highlights here. There's something just calming about this vehicle. I quite like it. It gets even better in the back though. You can get the LM as either a 7-seater or this 4-seater, which just has these 2 individual chairs in the back. But oh my gosh, this configuration is super luxurious and the one that I would want. Now let's start off by looking at that. It's a huge screen, and I'm actually casting my phone to it, though you can actually connect via HDMI. What I'm going to do is control it via this little mobile device here, which I can eject if I want to, but I don't want to right now. And I can change it to a smaller screen. There we go, little screen. I can go full size, so it's a bit stretched and looks weird, or I can go for twin, so that either rear passenger can watch their own movie or whatever on it via their own headset. I'm not going to leave it on that because it's just freaking my brain out. And obviously you've got these huge speakers here. There's a speaker there and there's another one up there, so you can get the full cinematic experience back here. And if you want to, relax. I'm going to just raise up this lower part of the seat. And then you got because you've got integrated seat belts. And now I'm going to do this. Look how far this seat reclines. Way better than any limousine. I can go flatbed. This is proper first class style, this is. And I've got my seat belt on, so I'm legal to travel like this, though I wouldn't suggest it, because if there's a massive accident, you're just going to slide out underneath the seat belt. Now, of course, these seats, they're heated. They are cooled. The leather is so luxurious and soft. It's very, very comfortable, regardless of what position you are sat in. Incredible. And then there's some other creature comforts as well, so I'll just take this off. Now, up here, if I press this button, I can shut the roof blind to make it nice and dark so I can have a sleep. And down here, I can shut the side shades. Oh yes. Now you might have noticed this. That is a speaker in the door as well for added bass. Absolutely incredible. Let me just open the roof shade. Where is it again? And of course I can open the door from back here. So press the button up there, the door opens. But we want it closed. And this button here says colour on it, which I imagine changes the colour of the ambient lighting, but I can't seem to get it to operate. There's lots of vents up here. You can actually direct the air where you want it. There's a little reading light there as well, which you can move around. Ooh, reading light. In here, you have your sunglasses holder. And when we're folding things down, that's in terms of storage, a lot of storage under here. Bottle there, but you have a cup holder here, like that. Actually, you're supposed to open it by pressing that button, but you can do it that way as well. More on that in a moment. Underneath here, if you do absolutely have to do some work, you've got a little work table there, or maybe it's a picnic tray. Feels very expensive. Very posh. And then under here, でもこの間の TGS みたいに配信者を送ってる友達送ってるって時、後ろと前話しづらそうだなこれ。Underneath here, you got some storage. Probably keep your shoes in there. And then finally, this here. Ooh, we have a fridge. And Lexa says, in no way, shape, or form should you ever use this fridge for storing pork chops or fish. Finally, there's this little area there which you can put stuff in if you want to, and another tray for your jewellery. It's all very luxurious. I'm thinking of just moving in here. It's way nicer than my house. The way you open the LM's boot isn't quite so there is a release here, but it just unlocks the vehicle. It doesn't open the tailgate. あそこでここで着替えれるっつうかその付け外しできんのいいね。宝石じゃないにしても。 If you're in a tight space, you're not going to be able to
PS だな、なんだろう。
while standing near it. Anyhow, big capacity on this 4-seater version is over 700 litres, which is quite a lot, and there's enough space there for your VIP's luggage. You'll probably notice these tether points there, and that's because you can fit child seats to these because you have ISOFIX, and it's actually very easy to fit a child seat to it because there's lots of space. The problem is you can't really like rotate the seat around once you've got it in place because of that central divider there. Let's have a quick look-see under here, see if there's anything interesting. Yeah, just tools and stuff, and I imagine under here what's... Oh, look, a spare wheel. That's novel. This is also novel. Look, a 3-pin socket, 1500 watt and 220 volts. Little tie-down points there, and some more there. I don't really have anything else to tell you about this boot, which actually brings on to 5 annoying things about the Lexus LM. Why did I do that? Due to the electrical kit on this car, it's quite easy to flatten the car's 12-volt battery. So when you're filming it and stuff, you need to keep the engine running. You see, we had a problem the other day when it went flat. And for some reason, the front doors were locked and it wouldn't respond to the key. We could actually open these doors. Unfortunately, I left this divider down. Now, if I hadn't, we wouldn't have been able to get to the front of the car to unlock the bonnet, to pop it, and then but with this open, I was able to slide through this gap to open the doors manually from the inside. Now, if you don't believe that I can fit through there, let me just show you. If I'd been even fatter than I am already, then I wouldn't have been able to get through, but it's not easy. It's a bit like going caving. Look. Oh, I'm being born again. So I got in like this and then I opened the door. It's all very graceful. Try not to get the lovely light interior dirty. Yeah, no, I doubt that. Bizarrely, while the entry-level version of the LM has a heads-up display, the top-spec version doesn't. Normally it works the other way around. The top-spec version gets the kit and the lower down the range one doesn't. The heated seats aren't hot enough, so 4, which is 3 bars on this, is like 1 bar on every other car, and it's the same in the front as it is here in the back. It's just not hot enough. While you can cast your phone screen onto this massive screen, it's only possible if you've got an Android device. There's no with an Apple. Oh, while you're there, look. 9 million subs! Yay! Also, head over to our channel to watch our latest video. It's about the new Renault 5. Whenever you get in or out of the car, this happens. Watch. Can you tell what it is? Look really closely. Can't spot it? I'll show you. This has opened. Can you see? The cover is open. Reason being, you often just like push off the armrest as you're getting out and then you just knock it like that and then it opens. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car.
いやでも意外と悪いところないな。悪いところ少ないね。
Concierge. It uses temperature sensors in the rear compartment to see exactly where it needs to blast air to keep the temperature just perfect. Also, there's something called S-Flow, which directs air only to occupied seats. And there is Nano X technology, which is a hyperfiltration system, so the air is nice and clean here inside the cabin. Lexus has the quietest, smoothest, and most luxurious feeling electric windows of any car manufacturer. Look. Oh, that's so satisfying. Oh. But it's not only in the front. Check this out in the rear. I'll just shut the door. Don't mind me.
傘ついてる。
Oh. I've never seen such a big window open in a van-based people carrier. And I'll forgive it for not going all the way down, just for how wide it is. Lovely. Lexus has created an all-new drive mode for this LM. It's called Rear Comfort. So what that does is uses the car's computer-controlled suspension, and it combines it with the drive system to actually make it even more comfortable for rear passengers. So it reduces the amount of vibration they feel, and it can also reduce the amount of pitch under acceleration by 10% and dive under braking by 45%. So
うわー、いろんな車欲しい。やっぱ田舎に引っ越すべきなのかもしれん、俺は。
For the rear view mirror just here, the bottom of the windscreen, and it's just inside the arc of the rear window wiper. So let's say it gets all kind of like dirty like that, then you wash the rear window and you'll see it, clean it there.
すげえ。
Very clever.
すごい。
Clean it there, like dirty like that. Then you wash the rear window and you'll see it, clean it there. Very, very clever. Also, with the actual parking camera, it has a wash function. So, if I was to
すごい。
covered in stuff like that, then if you put the rear wash on again, a little jet of water will come out and wash that camera. There we are. Look at that. Very, very clever.
すごい。
Control over a soundproof divider, which is really handy if you've got a driver that likes to chat.
Oh, hey, aren't you Matt Watson from Carwell? Yeah, I really see like.
Driver that likes to chat.
Oh, hey, aren't you Matt Watson from Carwell? Yeah, I really see like you in your car buy video days with Rebecca Jackson. It was really funny when she put a banana in the glove box with lots of alcohol.
Also, you have the facility to make it so you can't see them.
やばすぎだよこれ。
That's better. Peace and quiet. In the UK, the Lexus LM is available with just one engine. So this, a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder mated to a CVT automatic gearbox and an electric motor driving the front wheels. But you can pay extra to upgrade to the 4-wheel drive version, which has another electric motor on the rear axle, so you then have 4-wheel drive. However, what's a bit odd is that whether you go for the front-wheel drive with one motor or the 4-wheel drive with two motors, both versions have 250 horsepower, so that rear motor doesn't add any more power. It's Lexus logic. I'm going to start off driving this Lexus in town. First thing to note, the suspension feels pretty soft, but over bumps you can probably notice the car just, people mover, just rocking slightly. But it does feel soft, squidgy and compliant. I'm quite surprised that it doesn't have air suspension, but it does have adaptive dampers that can just react to the road and try to keep the car as comfy as possible. Now the steering is nice and light. Being a hybrid, I can just mooch around on electric power alone at low speeds. The braking is smooth and progressive. It's not grabby at all. Ideal in a car like this. You want it to be very, very relaxed, very, very smooth. Is it going to be relaxing when I try and do a U-turn in here? Because the turning circle is 13 meters, which is quite a lot, but I do have all the cameras. I'm going to press this button and it's going to help me out. And now I'm going to go round. Will I make that curve without curbing my lovely wheels? Yes, look, I can use that. That's all good. I'm also going to switch to that view so I can see what's going on behind me better. This is all hunky-dory and reasonably easy. The only problem is that, literally, that just so gets in the way of the peel. I had to see that. That is not good. Look at it. That's a massive blind spot. It's a shame because there's not much light here because the windows and the view out is actually very, very good. But we got away with that. Thankfully, the steering's nice and light as well. Haven't got away with this. Will they reverse up because I look like I'm in a more expensive car? Carrying some important people. Yes, they did. It's very, very kind. Thank you very much. Now this is really handy. Like I can just wipe the rear view camera using the rear windscreen. You know, one of the advantages of having a car like this is that you sit up quite high, so as the driver, you do get a good view out, and you've got a nice big low dash as well when you're sat up high, so it gives you good forward visibility. Now I can feel the engine kicking in and turning off again, and it's not too intrusive when you're just driving along at low speeds, but you do hear it just start up and you hear the whirring noise as you go from electric only power to a bit of petrol power. But the transition is smooth.
LM いいな。
Right, I'm coming up to a 70 mile an hour limited road.
誰か持ってねえかな。ちょっと乗らしてくんねえかな。乗って決めたい。もう次からは乗って決めたい。試乗もしなくて、試乗もせずに買ったし、2台目からはちゃんと試乗してから買いたい。
Because this car has a CVT automatic gearbox, which means that when you floor the throttle, it just holds the engine revs pretty constant, and then you get this droning noise. Again, for a slow speed, you'll see exactly what I mean.
今何も不満ないよ。でかすぎることぐらいかな。
again, no changing up. It just hold it. It's not great that.
なんで1台目試乗、まあでも試乗めんどくさくない？
is a 4-cylinder engine working its absolute tits off to provide a modicum of performance. It's not at all nippy.
俺試乗とか試着とかマジしねえや。
And very noisy. And I'm not sure that's something that the VIPs in the back would really appreciate. But I'll be testing that out for sure in a moment. First thing I want to check though is the economy. So this Lexus is supposed to do about 42 miles to the gallon. This one is doing 33.
だって試乗とかしてもな、おう、いいっすねってなって終わりそう。
That's going to do similar economy and feel a lot more punchy and more refined when you accelerate. In fact, if you want to see my full in-depth video review of a Mercedes S-Class, you should just click on the pop-out banner appearing in the top right-hand corner of the screen. The last thing I need to do with this car is just see how well it handles. So I'm going to put it into sports mode. Yes, it does have sports mode. I'm going to go into sports mode for the gearbox and try and change gears manually. So if I kick down a gear, look, it holds second gear. Up, don't get too carried away, Watson. However, if I floor, watch this again, I'm going to do this. I'm going to accelerate, flooring it. I'm changing up. Third, fourth, fifth. I've never seen a rev counter in a car with gears just stay at the same revs when you're changing up the gears. What's the point? Once again, crashing it then just brought it home of how this thing feels underpowered. And what's really annoying is that in other markets, you can get it with more powerful engines. Why not in the UK? Anyhow, handling. So
イギリスだけなのか?
There's a bit of body lean there. Does it matter for this kind of vehicle? You know, hold onto the road well enough. But being sort of band based, it feels top heavy and it does lean a bit in the bends. Something like a BMW 7 Series definitely feels more composed and more capable on a twisty road. Say if your VIP needs to get across country really quickly, they're going to be better off in a BMW 7 Series. And if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, then click on the pop-out banner up there or use the QR code on the screen now. It's not terrible the way it goes around corners. It's kind of what you expect. It's acceptable. It's just that there's other luxury limousines that do it better. I'm going to launch this vehicle. Seems a bit wrong considering what it's for, but still sometimes as a chauffeur you need to make a quick getaway with your VIP on board to get them away from the paparazzi. So 0-60 of this particular version of the Lexus LM, 8.7 seconds. Let's find out what the reality is. Got in sport the gearbox, rev it up. Go. 8.76 seconds. Bang on the money, really. Noisy though, eh? Not nice noise, kind of stop it, I don't like it, noise. It's enough of me like testing this car as the driver, as the chauffeur. What really matters is what it's like if you're the person in the back. Okay, here in the back, it's reasonably comfortable. You don't seem to get that kind of wafty feeling that you get in cars with air suspension. So a Lexus LS
そうか、エアサスではないのか。
There's always a little bit of like shimmy and shake that you just feel through your bottom. Now I've got Lewis driving for me. Lewis, can you do something for me, please, mate? Could you like shake the wheel when I tell you to? Okay, because I'm just going to try something. I've got a fairly full cup of coffee down here. Shake the wheel. Oh, yeah, okay, right. Yeah, it's shaking the coffee quite a bit. Now I want you to accelerate quite hard. Oh, don't. Oh, okay, brake not too hard, but like you're stopping for something. That's it. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's almost coming out. Okay. Now what I want you to do is put the car into its special rear comfort mode. I want to find out the effect of that. Out with the bumps, it doesn't really feel that much different. But can you do the thing with the wheel again when you shake the wheel? That doesn't seem to move the car from side to side so much. Can you accelerate and then brake again?
確かに結構揺れてるな。
I think you're braking a bit harder then, but it doesn't seem to have the initial kind of shock when you suddenly make a manoeuvre or something happens. I don't know if it's that rear comfort mode or it's just placebo, but it somehow just feels a little bit better. Turn it off again, go into normal mode, shake the wheel again. Oh yeah, now put it into rear comfort mode. Do it again. Yeah, it's definitely more comfortable in rear comfort mode. Quite like it. It's really chilled. I do want to check one thing though. Right, I've got Lewis to slow right down. I'm going to get him to accelerate now to see how noisy it is here in the back. The groaning sound doesn't come into the back quite as much. That is good news. Now I'm just going to try something else. Can you slow down again? Because I want you to repeat the same test, but I am going to put the divider up. Accelerate! No, you don't notice it. The only thing you notice is quite a bit of noise reverberating around this large space. You see, in something like a slightly smaller saloon car, you don't have such a big area for the noise to echo around, but it's not bad. Just a bit of tyre noise. I'm going to try one more thing. Let's see if it can handle these corners without spilling coffee everywhere. Fortunately, the cappuccino looks a similar colour to the leather. Whoa, here comes the corner. What's going to happen? Rear comfort mode. Come on, do your job. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh. Well, I think that's pretty conclusive. While this vehicle does not waft down the road quite like a luxury saloon, it's still comfortable enough. And when you go around some corners, you won't end up spilling your coffee all over yourself and then end up at your meeting looking like you've had a slightly nasty accident. So then what's my final verdict on the Lexus LM? Should you avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go right ahead and buy it? Well, if you're going to be driving it, I'd shortlist it because the suspension isn't quite as wafty and it's not quite as quiet as something like a BMW 7 Series. But if you're only ever going to be chauffeured, do you know what? I'd take that trade-off in quietness and outright comfort just for the amount of space you have in those back seats, which are so comfortable to sit in. I would rather have that to be chauffeured in than a BMW 7 Series or a Mercedes S-Class. So in that respect, buy it. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It really helps us out. And let me know what you think of my verdict.
確かにこれは候補に入ったっていい。あ、これだ。俺が見たの。これのセダン型ってない？あ、俺セダンじゃなかった。これのセダン型マジかっこよかったんだよな。あ、一応。
What will win in a drag race between a tuned BMW M8, a tuned AMG GT63 4-door and a tuned Porsche Panamera Turbo? Well, I'm going to find out by racing them over the standing quarter mile.
すげえ。
I'm Matt Watson.
バトルだ。
Watching Car Wow. 0.4 litre twin turbo V8 driving all four wheels via an 8-speed automatic gearbox. This car weighs in at 750 Newton meters of torque, but this has been tuned by DMS Torque. Now they flashed that he said he new, brand new with a huge discount. He only paid £80,000 for it, new. That's crazy. Anyway, let's find out about that Mercedes from my German friend Daniel from the Carwow German channel, or the German Carwow channel. Anyway.
I'm very well, Matt. How are you?
Where's your German accent gone?
Oh, did you ask for Daniel or Sam?
I thought I was going to speak to Daniel, but you'll do this time. Let's go straight to Sam. So, Sam, how are you?
I'm very well, Matthew. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, my Irish friend, not my German friend. So tell me about your car, Sam.
So I'm in a Panamera. It's a tuned 4-litre twin-turbo V8. It's got 740 horsepower, 1,000 Newton meters of torque. It's all-wheel drive, 8-speed dual-clutch automatic PDK. It weighs just over 2 tons, starting at 113,000.
So your tune was also by DMS Automotive. How much is
the at a wheel drive, 8-speed dual-clutch automatic, 740 horsepower, 1,000 Newton meters of torque. It's all-wheel drive, 8-speed dual-clutch automatic PDK. It weighs just over 2 tons, starting at 113,000.
So your tune was also by DMS Automotive. How much is the tune on your car?
It's £1,980.
You might be wondering why W's ECU is impossible. Just you're in the AMG.
Makes 740 horsepower, just over 1,000 Newton meters, and it's a little bit more. It's actually fairly cheap.
We'll find out in a moment.
I just got up on 13.
40. So this is 550 stock, and like I said, this is 740 tuned. 200
horsepower for just over £1,000.
すげえな。
Not bad, is it?
The only way it'll be bad is if you blow up, is that they've tuned the to have a little bit with it.
音かっこよ。
Yep, that sounds good.
Let's have a listen to the AMG.
It sounds good, but it is limited at 4,000.
Same as this. I thought they might have lifted the limiter as part of the tune. Maybe that's for the next update, guys.
Let's have a listen to the Porsche.
Oh.
Wow, that's a 3,000 RPM soft limiter.
Do you know what? Let's do them all in orchestra together. Come on. Now, if you like this kind of stuff and you haven't done so already, make sure you've got an amazing video coming out. Stats of these cars side by side. Just pause your video. I'll screen for you with all that looks the best.
Yeah, BMW.
Me, I'm going to go with the Mercedes. I love the look of that car. Tell you what, it's really hard to launch control this M8 coupe because it's got the carbon fibre seats that you get in the M4. It makes it more roomy in the back, but it's hard to like put your foot on the brake because your left leg has to go over the bit. It's a bit annoying. Anyway, see if I can launch it. Excuses.
Java Vince.
What's going on? That was weird.
Oh. Panamera, hiya.
Okay, Daniel, you're probably quite pleased with that, but there was a problem.
今どうなった？ああ、なるほど。あれか。パナメーラが2番目か。
Okay, Daniel, you're probably quite pleased with that, but there was a problem with this car when I launched. It launched all right, sort of, and it changed gears itself for the first few gears, and then the third it didn't, and so it just hit the limiter, and that's when you came past, Sam. It wasn't because of anything spectacular that you did.
Obviously not.
You obviously enjoyed that launch.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first, but I think you were talking to me, right?
I don't know who I was talking to. I was talking to whoever would listen, really, just like always. I think we should just run that again.
This is the longest delay off brake I've ever had in a PDK car, so I think I'll be able to sort it this time, but that was a big delay.
Okay, let's go again.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa, this is all over the place, just absolutely brutal.
Komme, glaube ich, nicht an den BMW heran.
Oh, this is quick.
Oh.
Okay, so I clearly won that, and I'm surprised that I did because this car was like bucking and spinning its wheels and just.
怖っ。これ運転してる側すごそうじゃないこれ。死ぬほど車体揺れてんだけど、スピンしまくって。
Honestly, I was just checking my hand if I'm overly excited, but it's fairly steady because this one was also moving all over the place and making noises and fighting traction.
And Samuel?
Typical Porsche, good launch. Everything was nice and smooth, but I think it's just been a bit outgunned here.
It's weird. Let's go. What the four-wheel drive? That short shifted.
Oh, ich bin vorne! Ich bin vor dem BMW!
No hope.
Oh, come on!
Oh.
Und ich gewinne!
I
was thinking this was. Yeah, so let's do best. Like,
何回やっとんねん。
though windows for some more videos and on the car. My Audi R8 is going. I've had it 9 months and I've done almost 9,000 miles. I'm going to talk you through everything that's been good and not so good about living with this Audi R8. I'm going to start this video with things that haven't been so good.
R8 ってさ、別にこれオープンカーにならないタイプもあるよね。
This Audi R8
オープン嫌なんだよな。
begin with problems I've caused myself. I managed to curb one of the wheels. If you look there, you'll see it's not that bad, but I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to fix because you've got this part here that is diamond cut and then this part here that is powder coated. I did it actually when I was just driving through a width restrictor, didn't pay enough attention, and I got a horrible feeling when you hit the curb and you know you've done some damage. Don't want to curb those 20-inch alloy wheels which come as standard. Ah, f it! I didn't notice the mirror. I've noticed this really long scratch on it here. I think most of that will polish out, but that bit is quite deep. I'm not sure how it happened. Don't think it was me. Maybe someone walking past it in a car park and part of their clothing just, or zip, just rubbing against the car. Annoying. Another problem I've experienced with this car is the brakes making a horrible like grinding sound when you press the pedal. Now that manifested itself after a couple of track days, probably related. However, you would think that the carbon ceramic discs would be able to cope with more than a few track days. I think Audi just replaced the pads and it's been fine since. Anyway, let's move on to some other things about this car which aren't so good, which have nothing to do with me. It's just the way the car came. I did quite a lot of long journeys, and one thing that I've really missed on this car is adaptive cruise control. All you can get is old-fashioned cruise control, which is no good because essentially the roads are too busy that you're constantly disengaging it and engaging it, disengaging and engaging it, because you're always meeting other traffic. You need adaptive cruise with auto steer to be able to just sit back and let the car do the hard work, which really does take the strain out of long distance drives, especially when you've been on a film shoot all day. Because the R8 is quite an old car now, it doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so you have to connect them via a cable. And there's not really a great amount of room in the centre cubby to do that where the USBs are, and you end up like nipping your cables and so on and so forth. However, I got this device called an AA Wireless, and it then turns your car into wireless Android Auto. Really, really like that. However, using Android Auto through the car's system, because this isn't a touchscreen, is a bit hard, especially when you're trying to zip around the map and things like that and use the different functions, because you're trying to use this control wheel and it's just a bit of a pain. Oh, I wish it was a touchscreen. And I suppose doing a touchscreen through there isn't ideal. I'm pretty sure in the past the Audi R8 was available with adaptive dampers, so you could change the modes between like sport and comfort. Doesn't seem to be available on it at all anymore, and it's a bit of a shame because the adaptive... What the heck was that noise? Anyhow, the adaptive dampers did help smooth off the bumps. So this has just fixed rate dampers, and overall the suspension isn't too firm, but you can get bounced about a little bit when you go over bumps and drain covers like I'm doing now. It's a shame that you can't get adaptive dampers. It's really odd on a car that's as expensive as this that it's just not available even on the options list. Oh well. In the past, the Audi R8's comfort seats were fitted with ice.
ああ、まあでもこうやって見るとな。
For this latest version, they've removed them for some reason, which is really annoying.
どうなんやろうな。乗っててもなんやろ、ストレスの方が強そうで、乗ってて果たして乗ってて楽しい部分を常に感じ続けられるのかどうかという。
It is a bad thing. It is. This is something you have to do quite a lot with the Audi R8. Ah, bear with me. Oh, can I have one of them? Oh no, sorry mate, no don't worry. I thought you were working here, sorry. That's so rude of me. So bad of me. That's cringe. Just embarrassed myself. I thought he was one of the attendants, like refilling these. Okay, what's this going to cost? Oh, yeah. I don't put the good stuff in, I don't put E5 in, I just go for just normal E10 because it gets through the fuel so much, and I spend a lot of time just driving this thing on the motorway, and there's no point running it on the expensive 97. It's only 97 octane as well, the E5. And if it was 99, maybe. One advantage of standing here like this in the sunshine is I do get to admire the lovely green paint, the carbon fibre elements, the beautiful tan interior. Such a great looking car. Oh, we're going to click over the 100. Oh no, I think that's it. £85. And he won't get me all that far. As you can imagine, a 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 supercar with 620 horsepower isn't particularly fuel efficient. And this one has averaged 17.2 miles per gallon over the 9 months I've had it. Though that does take into account all the drag races I've done with it. Way, boy! Which is probably a bit worse than it otherwise would be. I actually think that's acceptable for this kind of car. Still, it has cost me £3,500 in fuel over the 9 months. That's the reason why I haven't gone on holiday this year. Oh well, it's worth it. Don't drive. One of the things I like about the coupe version of the R8 is that you can see the engine underneath the glass screen. However, on this Spider, the engine is a little bit. If you glance through there, you can see the top of the rocket covers just It's a shame. It's a beautiful thing. One of the problems I've had with this car is that it doesn't always launch consistently. It can bog down, so you don't get anywhere near the claimed 0 to 60 time of 3.2 seconds. I'll try and do it now to show you what I mean. So left foot on the brake. There, hear that bog? So it spun its wheels, 4.6 seconds. It's rubbish. It's really odd. Even when it's dry, sometimes it does it. In fact, here's me having the problem with the car bogging down in some drag races. Bogged. Sometimes it does just hook up and it does the business. And here's an example of it actually hooking up and putting in a good time. It's pretty good for me. Yes, come on! That is quite a difference, isn't it? Why can't you hook up like a Porsche 911? They always hook up. This... No! The location of the cup holders isn't ideal. Just here. Which means that you end up putting your elbow into your drink and sometimes knocking it over. Fortunately, they had the top on. On the rare occasions that I've actually cleaned this car, I've noticed a bit of a problem. So obviously, you clean the car with the roof up. I'd normally use soap and water and give it a polish as well. But then when you take the roof down, you know, on a sunny day, you want to show off your nice sparkly car, you notice this. So you can see this bit of the roof, it actually covers part of the rear deck. So when you put the deck back down, you get out, you look at it, you realise that this part of it is still dirty. And you really notice that on a sunny day. It's just like, bleh. As you can imagine, the R8 isn't particularly practical. The boot is not the largest, so there's not that much you can fit in it. Still, it is better than my GT3 RS. That doesn't even have a front boot. Anyhow, I did encounter a problem with this boot. You see, I lent this car to cameraman Adam, and when he was driving it to Wales, the oil warning light came on, so he got a carton of oil, topped it up, all was good. Then he left the carton in this boot. And I don't think he tightened the top particularly well. Then one day when we were drag racing, I put this jacket, well actually a jacket just like this, in the boot, and under the brake test or something like that, I think the top popped off the oil carton and went all over the jacket, at which point I needed to get a new jacket. So thank you, Adam. Thank you. Don't know why I'm blaming the car's boot for that, but anyway, it still hurts. One thing that really disappoints me about the interior of this car are the paddles. So I drive this mainly in manual mode. I don't bother with automatic, even though automatic is good. And it's a real shame the paddles are just made out of the cheapest material known to man. So while shifts are good, you don't get any pleasure through your fingers when you're making those shifts. Now, by comparison, the paddle shifters in my 911 GT3 RS are the best in any car I've ever driven, because they've got like this metallic click. Oh. However, they're not standard. You have to pay extra for the ViceApp pack to get those. But even on standard Porsches with a PDK gearbox, you have metal paddle shifters, and really, Audi, this is just not good enough for the rest of this car. It's £160,000 this car, and I've got paddle shifters out of the most basic entry-level small hatchback. The reversing camera is quite low down, and as a result it gets covered in road grime. And because there isn't a washer on it, you effectively have to jump out the car, lick your finger, and give it a wipe out. Slightly gross, but at least now you can see more clearly. Anyway, that brings you on to what has been great about living with this Audi R8. The Audi R8 has one of the best sounding cold starts ever. Go on, start it up. That's probably not very good for me, but I am going to miss that noise. Not sure my neighbours are though, when that goes off at 5 AM in the morning when I'm heading off for a long drive up for a drag race shoot. I have noticed that it's starting to rattle a bit. Something's loose somewhere. I don't know what it is. And there we go, it's off cold start now. Can you hear the rattle? Just a little bit of piping probably loose or a heat shield in there. Still is going back, not my problem now. One of the things that I really like about the Audi R8 is that for a supercar, it's very easy to drive because you've got such good visibility. The dash isn't particularly high and the bonnet is short, so you've got a good view forward, you've got a good idea what's in front of you. Yeah, you've got these thick pillars here, but the windows are big, the view out the door mirrors is good, and the back window is really close to you, so you can see quite well behind you as well. Much better visibility than I think a Porsche 911 has. Also, the turning circle isn't bad at all. It's 11.2 meters. I'm not sure I'm going to make it.
結構歩くね。
In fact, I've really cut this up.
無理じゃ。
But it's the same as a Porsche 911. Well, a Porsche 911 without rear wheel steering. But it does help that you've got the cameras and that great visibility just makes it easy to do those kind of manoeuvres quite confidently without hitting something. Also, the steering, while it's got a decent amount of weight to it, it's not too heavy even when you're just pootling about in town. Surprisingly easy to live with this. Loved it. The problem with some cars that have keyless go is that you don't actually have a place to keep the key in the car. You do with this R8 though. There's a little slot for it there.
いいね。
Nice and tidy. You won't lose that. One of the great things about this car is that even on a cruise, there's lots of insulation from this roof. You don't
いや、結構ね、あると便利だね、鍵置きは。鍵の置く位置が安定しないの地味に不便よな、普段使いずっとしてると。
Whenever it's raining and I can't have the roof down, I always lower this rear window so I can still enjoy the intake noise from that V10. The only problem is that when I get to my destination, I forget that I've got this down. I just get out the car, walk off and leave it. And there's been many a morning when I've come to the car and there's like water all over here because it's rained in. Now I think there should be a bong to let you know that you've left this down. I wouldn't normally want another bonging sound in a car, but this one would be worthwhile. One of the things I really like about the R8 Spider is that you can put the roof down very quickly when you're driving along at slower speeds. I know you can with most convertibles, but yeah. And the reason I got the Spider was to have the roof down. And so unless it's raining, I've always got the roof down in this car, even when it's freezing cold outside. And I can get away with doing that because the heater is really, really good. So I'm just going to bump it up to high. Oh, look, it's already on high. It wasn't on high a moment ago. Wait a minute. Is this something I haven't noticed before? Watch this. I'm going to put the roof back up. That is brilliant! I never even noticed that. Look, it's got the temperature at 22, the fan at 1. It's somehow learned that when I put the roof down,
開けてる状態と閉めてる状態で違うんだ。
Do you know what? I didn't even notice that. I've had this car for 9 months and I haven't noticed that before. Look, and now it's directing it exactly where I want it. So I want the air at my body and at my feet. Genius! Another thing that's brilliant about this car is that sometimes I don't like the look of like convertibles. I don't think the Mercedes AMG SL, the roadster version, looks as good as the coupe version. I don't think that the Porsche 911 convertible looks as good as the coupe version. In fact, I don't like the look of 911 convertibles. They should never be convertibles. But this Spider version, I think it looks better than the coupe. It's a great looking car with the roof up and with it down.
いやー、クーペの方がかっこいいよ。
I think I absolutely nailed the spec. The green paint with the brown roof and the tan interior and the carbon fibre bits on the exterior, plus the gold wheels with red calipers. It's just perfect, no matter what anyone else says. To be fair, a lot of people have actually complimented me on this colour scheme, though it has proved a little bit overly recognisable. There's been many a time when I'm driving down the motorway and there's someone just like level with me going, hello, hello. Yeah, it attracts attention, I can tell you that much, and people recognise it. Maybe that's where the scratches come from. Whenever I'm driving this car, I like to have it in performance mode, so I press that button there and it opens up a valve and exhaust.
多分こういう人たちってもう車にもう乗り慣れてるから思わないんだと思うけど、オープンカーってさ、オープンしてない時のなんか安っぽさすごくない？しかもなんか開けててもなんかもう生きってる感丸出しっていう。 なんかどっちもなんだよ。なんかどっちも防御面弱すぎて。
So you've got matrix LEDs as standard. You can probably see the little dots there. You can blank out part of the beam to then dazzle oncoming drivers, and it means that you can illuminate the road as much as possible when it's dark without bothering other people. Really helped me when I've been out on shoots and then throughout the winter months coming back on long drives in darkness. As you get older, your eyesight deteriorates, and good lights on a car can make a huge difference.
Perhaps the very best thing about this car is the engine though, that V10 5.2 litre. The noises it makes, they're incredible. If you get it under load, it makes this wonderful guttural sound. Have a listen. Hear that? It's like a kind of like hammer sound. So you don't have to be thrashing the engine to get some great noises out of it. Here we go, under load, high gear, forward. Oh, such a great noise, but it's also great when you get up in the rev range. Listen. Oh. And the performance. You don't need a car to be any more powerful than this, believe me. And the way it delivers its power is so good. It revs to 8,500 RPM. Everyone goes on about Porsche GT engines and then 9,000 RPM red light. This is just 500 RPM off it. Lovely throttle response, and this. I actually think I prefer that low down rumble to the high up scream. Oh, and those gear shifts when you're on it, they are rapid. Oh, I'm gonna miss this car. I'm gonna miss this engine. I'm gonna miss the noise. I'm going to miss the experience, you know, with the roof down, sun shining. What a great car. I've loved it. This car does feel very expensive here on the inside. You've got leather absolutely everywhere and things feel solid.
内装の細かい感じはいいな。まあその便利さは置いといても。
It feels like an expensive vehicle, which is exactly what it is. After I'd ordered this car, I drove a blue rear-wheel drive version of the coupe. I was almost regretting my decision over a blue.
やっぱクーペやろこれ。もうクソかっこいいわ。
Coupe, and I was almost regretting my decision to go with the four-wheel drive Spider because the rear-drive coupe is the best handling version.
まあこの動画を見て思った。俺買わなくていいな。俺。いやー。なんだっけレクサスの LM だっけ ?LM とあれよかったな。なんだっけBM の豚バナのやつ。XM かな。